Welcome to After the Show, your weekly movie podcast brought to you by A. Scully and Sid Talk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Hello, everybody. Welcome to After the Show. Hello, Sid Talk. How are you?
Hello.
Welcome to After the Show.
You said, how am I? I was about to answer you, and you just, glorified your own game show hostery.
Well, yeah.
I'm fine. The end.
That's it? Very nice.
That's it. That's the
What's
end.
Before the After the Show discussion?
Before the After the Show discussion was this movie.
Yes.
I think that was about it the whole time. So we kind of had pre-show.
If we really talk about a movie even before the After the Show, we probably liked the movie. Spoilers.
Or really hated it.
Yeah, or really hated it. Yeah.
Or wait, we're two married people who just talk to each other about stuff.
Is that weird?
I think it is. I've been married before. It is a little bit weird.
And I've not.
So this is your only example. I am your shining example of wifery.
You're the benchmark.
Oh, gosh. Well, after 23 years, I'm finally feeling the pressure.
This is After the Show.
Marital talk.
Marital Talk edition. This is Saturday, November the 25th. And this is After the Show, number 814. We're a movie review podcast. Every week we look at a new movie. This week we're looking at the movie Oppenheimer. It's a 2023 release. You'll be able to get it from this week on Blu-ray 4K and streaming services. It's rated R from our friends at Universal, who sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk, can you give us the synopsis of the movie Oppenheimer?
It appears to be about the birth and development of the atomic bomb. But really, it's about assholes. I don't mean assholes like anatomically. I mean men who are complete, self-aggrandizing, egotistical assholes. And in the process, also, that bomb was created and cities were bombed and World War II ended. That's like a side story to me. Right. That's like the what's it called? The red herring. But the real story is about petty, jealous, egotistical weirdos.
I'll give you the...
Is that not on the box?
No. Actually, what is on the box? Oppenheimer is the story of American scientist J. Robert Oppenheimer and his role in the development of the atomic bomb.
And it is that
as well.
It is that. Yes. And I'm sure, but because it unfolds, Nolan has discovered and intellectually has read this book about the whole thing, right?
Yes.
Intellectually broke it down and been like, oh, so this is what it's all really about. Politics.
Yeah, because that's what it really is. If you look at the poster for this movie and it shows you Mr. Oppenheimer and all flames erupting in the background and the picture of his bomb, it's not an action movie.
It is not.
It is more of a drama / political talky movie. Don't go for action. Because there is a scene of testing the bomb, but it is very brief. Yeah. And it is not the core of the movie, is it? It's the core of the movie.
First of all, why would anyone think this is an action movie?
I don't know. Maybe because it's from Christopher Nolan and they've watched all these other movies that are full of action. Dunkirk, Tenet, The Dark Knight. He's generally got a lot of action going on.
Are there a lot of not intelligent people in the world? I just lost a few listeners.
Yes, there are. And yes,
I'm not saying they're not intelligent. I'm saying they oppose the idea that I would openly say are the people who think this is a fucking action movie at the peak of their intelligence. It's Oppenheimer, for Christ's sake.
So here are some things I thought while I was watching Oppenheimer. Okay?
Did you make a list?
In my mind, I did. Mental list.
Okay.
When it started, and it was just a close-up of Cillian Murphy's face, and it was so detailed, I was like, holy shit, this is definitely a Christopher Nolan movie. So let's see what we're going to get. And within about 5 minutes, there was a scene where it kept cutting from Oppenheimer to this nuclear fission thing going off in the background, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Almost like a special effect, but the rumbling sound and
it is a reflection of, I think, what you're supposed to think of his mind.
Right. Like all the synapses are firing at once and he's coming up with something, or, he's thinking differently than we do.
Yes, that's the vibe I got.
Yeah. that was happening. There's a lot of orchestral music, the subwoofers rumbling, the whole thing is like, and I was kind of moved by it.
Oh.
And the thing is, I hadn't even got to know the character at all. It was just the whole, I was like, oh, this is what cinema is, right?
Oh, nice. Revelation.
So I was like, I've just basically seen a lot of abstract images and sounds, and there's something going on inside me.
Like The Tree of Life.
Yeah, I actually thought of that movie while
I did
watching
too,
this.
because you don't understand it. And if you claim that you do, you're lying, because it's a little above all of our heads, I think. But when you're watching it, and and there's also an episode of Twin Peaks.
Yes.
That has
episode 9 of the Return.
Like primal something connected to the universe and the birth of the earth and all that. And you're just like, I agree with you. It trembles you inside and out.
Yeah. So that happened to me at the beginning. I hadn't been introduced to anybody yet. I was like, okay, that was good. What are we in for? And then the way Christopher Nolan does this movie, and I think he does it with his other movies too, it's like you're on a cruise ship going up and down. The waves are going up and down, and you're kind of flowing over it. And it never really stops. There's always something going on. It might not be like a bomb blowing up, but just somebody might be talking, and then we move to the next scene. It's got like a movement to it. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes, 100 bazillion%, if that exists in the world.
So
me, like Oppenheimer, not good at math.
So when some people are like, well, no, I would be bored by a movie which is a talky movie, or it's like, based on real events and it'll be really hard to follow maybe, or that kind of thing. I'm like, it's so well done. It feels like you're on this, I wouldn't say roller coaster, because it isn't that. It's more mellow than that. There's a skillfulness to the filmmaking, and it's not just how it looks. It's like everything about it, the acting, where to put this music. There's music going on in scenes in this movie where I'm like, wow, that's not the music I would choose for this scene, but holy shit, is that good?
Yes.
So Christopher Nolan gets top marks from me for creativity. A different person making this, it would be something completely different. This is a real Christopher Nolan thing.
Absolutely.
The story started to suck me in. I don't know the details about Oppenheimer. I mean, who does?
Christopher Nolan.
And historians, right?
The guy who wrote the book about him and his wife.
We all probably know this kind of basic version of things.
As you do about any famous person's life, yeah.
So there are certain things where I'm like, okay, I've heard of that. But it started sucking me in, even the interpersonal relationships with him and the women in his life, and also the people he works with, who he has to like politic his way around everything. And then he's thinking on this other level. I kept thinking about that. Like, here's a man who is going to change the world for better or worse.
It's a separate issue. Yep.
It's a separate issue. He knows in his mind that he can do something, and it's going to happen. He's not going to leave it alone. All the people in the periphery of it have their own reasons for wanting this to happen, don't they? It feels like he's being used in parts to me. Then there's parts where it feels like he feels like the big man because he knows everything.
Absolutely.
So I went on this journey with him where I was like, is he terrible, or is he a great person, or is he just being misused by like bigger powers? All that is in the movie. I was astounded by it. So what did you think?
Well, I can't.
Those were the thoughts that I had.
I can't really follow that. You were astounded and moved, and that's exceptional, right? It's a movie. Someone telling you the story, it's based on a true person, whatever. It's not documentary. It is someone using lots and lots and lots of skills and people to put together a fictional telling on a screen right in front of you. And if it moves you, and you don't express that kind of movement, shall we say, often, not that kind of like, whoa, where you say this is cinema, right? It really, when I'm watching it, it had the same feeling I mentioned, Tree of Life, where I'm watching it and some of the time I'm a little confused, like, was that guy a communist? Was that guy the guy who's gonna, I don't know, whatever. But all the while, I am so grateful that I'm a person who loves being told a story with a movie, right? I love the movie, the film, the cinema, whatever. You can argue my level of knowledge of cinema and the history of it and all that jazz, or the art of it,
right? Which
I think I could give you a pretty good discussion on that as well. But just the feeling, I don't read books much, hardly at all, but people talk about how books move them.
Yeah.
Right? That's how I feel like experience this. Sort of like my cop-out of not having to read the book. I watched the movie, I guess, but I'm sitting there and you pointed out how long it is, and people will say it's too long, and it was
exactly 3 hours, by the way.
And it's perfect. It is enough that the scenes that need to be long are long, and the moments can stretch, and the looks can, the gazes and the focusing on the person's face, and you figuring out some things during scenes that aren't like told to you, like with words, but you're watching everyone's performances, which are glorious. And I was just wrapped in it. I loved it.
It's one of those movies that you're like, well, there's a lot of craftsmanship got into this.
Craftsmanship. And that's what I was going to say. What did I say? One of our first bathroom breaks, because it's 3 hours. So, I'm like, just looking at it. It's beautiful. It's like butter. It's like the black and white scenes are just like mesmerizing to the eyeball. And we have 104 movie screen on the wall, and we watch it with a projector. So if you're watching it on a phone or whatever, I feel like it will still be gorgeous, but you won't get that like luscious scenes the way they really look. And it was just gorgeous. And of course, I like all that anyway.
Christopher Nolan uses IMAX cameras here, so you've got that really tall frame.
Oh yeah, it fills the whole screen, which I love.
It actually switches a lot. I don't know if you noticed that.
I did not.
It switches to widescreen and then back to IMAX a lot. Because clearly he didn't film the whole thing in IMAX, just the main. It's weird, actually, because some of it was IMAX, some of it wasn't.
You're saying it might have switched, or it did?
No, it totally switched from one aspect ratio to another.
During what scenes?
During, all the time. One scene, even. A scene where they were riding on horses, for instance. It was IMAX, and then they were talking, and all of a sudden it wasn't, and then it was again. You're not sensitive to it. I noticed it. All of Nolan's movies have that kind of switchy aspect ratio. But when it's open and big, like during the actual bomb sequence in the middle of the movie, it is glorious. Detailed. It's clearly not like what you've seen before. Technically, it's awesome.
I don't know if it's not like what we've seen before, but it is very specifically it's a feast for the eyes, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of aerial shots, and a man talking in a room looks cool.
Gorgeous, yeah.
Yeah. And the story of Oppenheimer, what years does it cover? I couldn't, because it goes back and forwards a bit.
From the 1930s.
Right.
When he's a student, maybe late 1920s, because he said he met that one guy.
He's a student at the beginning.
Right, so it's the 30s, and then of course leading up to the war is the late 30s, and then the 40s, obviously, with 42, whenever he was put in the position, or took the position, or whatever. And then all the way up to, and I don't know when the hearing was for Strauss.
No, because it also is as a hearing about him at the end.
Well, there's two. Actually, the whole movie, you're going through two different hearings. One is after everything's done, Oppenheimer is, so the layout of the movie is this. You're getting the story of how he was part of creating the bombs.
Yeah.
And throughout it, you keep going back. It's framed in two different hearings. One is a few years after, 4 years, I think they said, or something, after the bombs were dropped. And the other one is later, a little bit later.
Yeah, 1954 is the end scenes.
Okay.
Yeah.
End scenes. Well, they were throughout the whole movie. I'm not sure what you mean end scenes.
On History versus Hollywood. The Oppenheimer security hearing at the end of the movie takes place in 1954, towards the end of McCarthyism.
I don't think they were watching this movie because it was throughout the whole movie. But anyway.
It started with it, actually.
It was the start. Yeah, it frames everything in the movie. So you've got the hearing where they're going to, after all of it's said and done, they're going to remove Oppenheimer from his position because he's potentially a communist and had ties with communism. But it's after everything's already done. And then the other one is a hearing for a congressman or senator who might be appointed to be the head of the American Atomic Commission, and that's Iron Man. And so it's these two different hearings, and we're leading up to the culmination of whether or not Oppenheimer gets to keep his position and whether or not this guy is going to become the head of the American Commission on Atomic Commission.
I know what you say.
Yeah. ACA or something like that. So all of the movie are scenes that are leading us to whether or not Oppenheimer should keep his job after the war and whether or not this guy should be the head of it, and kind of a personal weirdness that goes on between them when the whole world is actually at threat of nuclear war.
Yeah.
And yet it's really about the egos. The showman, who is Oppenheimer, who I realized through it, and it's just a reenactment of him, but I feel like he would have been insufferable. I don't know this. My apologies to any family members who exist and might be listening to this, but I think I've known people like him, minus the genius physicist part, that sort of like manic, can do, just keep all the plates spinning, do all the stuff, right? Just keep plowing forward because this core of what you believe in or what you want to get done, the ego that you have, drives everything, right?
Right.
Regardless of because we discussed it a little briefly, they didn't portray the Oppenheimers as very good parents.
No.
So I don't think the family was the primary, priority there. He was a bit of a womanizer, as they say in the movie, not super loyal to his wife. And, but all that is only around this very self-centric, both of these men, Iron Man and him, Cillian Murphy. It's about their egos, really, isn't it? Ultimately.
They're basically like having a war together.
Yeah, but took a long time, like 40 years or 30 years, and played out with this very bizarre backdrop of the world.
And that's like a hard thing to make interesting on the screen, isn't it?
Yeah, what I was just talking about probably didn't sound very interesting.
No.
But it really was. Don't take my telling of the story. Just go watch the movie.
Right. So let's get on to the cast here. Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer. I said at the end of the movie, if he doesn't get an Oscar for that, I'm not watching the Oscars anymore.
Well,
and I haven't watched them for 2 years anyway.
You haven't watched them at all, just because I don't watch
I've
them
watched
anymore.
clips,
I feel bad about that. This is a side note because
you ruined my Oscar fun. You sucked all the fun out of it.
I lost interest, and it would take something of great magnitude to bring it back.
Yeah.
So there's that. And you love it, and you love it still, and you should just do it, but you don't, so.
No, you ruined it for me.
No.
Thank you.
You ruined it for yourself. If you refuse to watch it, because I'm not watching it, I'm going to tell you now, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem.
But Cillian Murphy is literally incredible. I know what his accent is like.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You wouldn't even know that the accent he used in this movie was perfect to me.
Well, I mean, I don't think I've ever heard Oppenheimer speak, so perfect would be that he sounds like
I went and listened to him just
okay.
Yeah, it's very, very good. I mean, Cillian Murphy just has gone away for me in this movie. He's like Oppenheimer guy.
Well, that's the idea.
So that's why I'm saying Oscar for that guy. Emily Blunt plays his wife, Kitty Oppenheimer. What do you think?
Really good. Like, really sad, but powerful, annoying, all combined, but really good. I was convinced that she was, sadly, alcoholic wife.
She's very messed up.
She's messed up, not interested in her kids.
No.
Stays with him even when he cheats because I think they were two kind of toxic people, it seemed, from the movie.
And she's got his back.
Yes.
Right near the very end, you see how much she's got his back, when she goes and speaks up. So, yeah, she's very good. I liked her. Matt Damon plays Leslie Groves. What is he? He's
General.
He's in charge of Oppenheimer's thing.
Well, he's in charge of the thing the government and the president want to put together, and then he goes and seeks out Oppenheimer.
The Manhattan Project.
Correct.
He has to keep pushing him along, basically, like, we need this by this deadline. You've got to keep doing it, Robert Downey Jr. plays Louis Strauss. What do you think?
Really good.
Yeah, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's better in this than I've seen him in anything.
Absolutely.
He's like so
subtle, and yet you get exactly who this dude is. And because we're being presented with him in two different ways, like I feel like with Oppenheimer, we always get the scientist, the ego guy combined, a little bit confused about like life beyond physics and like being the genius guy.
Yeah.
He's always the same. We always get the same version of him, right? Robert Downey Jr., for the parts where we're supposed to be presented with one version of him as, the guy, and then all of a sudden the twisty thing, and you're like, oh, God. And then it's so subtle in how he's presenting himself at that point. We're like, wow, was he doing that before? And I just didn't notice because I thought he was an okay guy. And now I know he's not. And now, so there's a little spoiler in there for you.
Yeah,
I thought it was really good.
There's this guy, Alden Ehrenreich, who played Han Solo in the Solo movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he was very good in this.
It was very good.
I liked, he kind of put Robert Downey Jr. in his place a few times.
Plus also, only later when he...
Yeah, I really liked that, though. It was like, oh, that's cool. I'm telling you where we're at here.
I think Nolan, to his credit, you're going to ask me about the direction later, is to be credited for the quality of what we see from people.
Yeah. I mean, and there's so many people in this movie. I didn't list them all.
Oh, yeah.
Florence Pugh plays Jean Tatlock. She's
really good.
Florence Pugh is awesome. She's not in it a lot. And there are other people who are also awesome, like Casey Affleck, who's not in it a lot.
Yep.
Benny Safdie, who's also not in it a lot, but he's very good. Like
Josh Hartnett, very good.
Josh Hartnett, yeah. There's so many people who turn up and they're in it a little bit here and there, and they're very good every time you see them, but it's mostly Oppenheimer's story, you know. Directed by Christopher Nolan, Interstellar, Dark Knight trilogy, Tenet, Dunkirk, The Prestige, the list goes on and on. Every movie I like of his. So I'm a fan.
Yeah,
Yep.
It can only go down from here.
Yes. So how do you feel about him as a
Just
director?
like I was saying,
Let me just preface this with, every time I've said to you, we're going to be watching Oppenheimer, you didn't actually seem very enthusiastic. Now, I don't know if that's the subject of the movie or...
It just seems like, I don't know, sometimes like with the Oscars, I'm not in the mood for a big, what can become a preachy, very pointed statement movie.
Right.
About something. And that obviously with a name like Oppenheimer, was like, okay, which thing am I going to get preached at here about like the evils of atomic warfare or the evils of the people who do science or glorify the science regardless of the consequences. But I was very happily turned around almost immediately. And like you said, almost immediately, first 5 minutes of the movie, I'm like, I'm all in. I'm all in on this. And then as we go through it, the pragmatic, because the wife says she's pragmatic, right?
Yeah.
Says the lines that say it all, like you pointing out that you can't do the thing that could destroy the world and then make us feel bad for you because now you feel bad about it. Like,
right.
Don't be a hypocrite, right?
Yeah, just don't do it in the first place.
Or if you're going to do it, you can't flip it around on everyone so they feel bad for you. And I feel like that leveled the playing field of, are we going to say that Oppenheimer developing the bomb or being part of the development of the bomb was a good thing? Dropping the bombs was a good thing, bad thing, whatever. Like, what's the political statement? It actually got washed away to me. Someone else might watch it and think differently. But I feel like it just showed you, like when people are celebrating after the bomb was a success in the test and then celebrating after the bomb. It makes you feel weird. It makes you feel weird, but then you're reminded very quickly there are loads of people and characters in the movie who are opposed to it completely.
Right.
And yet you get the vibe that in a pragmatic, realistic world, that train has already left the station and there is nothing you can do about some of the worst destructive things that, and I'm going to say it, men in high places choose to do with this in this world, right?
Right.
And so, I mean, I'm just saying in the context of telling this story, I couldn't find a point where someone was telling me that I should cheer for the development of the bomb or I should be anti-war, nothing like that.
I think you're right. It's not a biased story, is it?
It doesn't feel like it to me.
No. Yeah, on both sides, you kind of... Yeah.
What it boils down to are the egos of the people involved.
Yeah.
And then the game that these powerful men play with the whole world and everyone's lives, that's real.
There was a moment in the movie where I thought to myself, okay, people were just living their regular lives over there in America, everywhere, and these men are in the desert planning how the world goes from now on. And then I was thinking, that's happening today too, somewhere. We don't know about it.
Absolutely.
But something's happening somewhere where we're not privy to it, but they're putting all us at risk or whatever,
well,
right?
We are the pieces on the game board.
Yes. Chess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought about that.
I don't know if it's chess, because sometimes it seems like a dumber game than that they're playing with us.
Just checkers then.
I mean, checkers. I won't laugh because I've lost at checkers. So,
all right, that was something. So yeah, there's some heavy feelings that it can bring up for you.
Yeah,
and that's great. So IMDb reviews, what are those?
Those are reviews that you're going to rate on IMDb.com that reflect the people who don't like this movie. The 1-starers, we're going to call them 1-starers.
First guy says 1 out of 10. Boring.
1 out of 10. Whoa.
My review is not based on the entire movie because I only managed to get through 1 hour and 20 minutes and then I lost the will to live.
Oh my gosh.
There is no way I could put myself through over 2 hours more. I can't believe the movie gets high ratings. It's the most boring drivel I've ever watched. I've no doubt that it will win loads of Oscars, but the awards is a farce.
Oh, okay. So we're clumped a few things in there together.
Yeah. Second guy says, this movie has got the ADHD. Nothing happens, and the scenes keep changing every 2 to 3 seconds with epic music. Okay, I get it. It's a historical drama, but it sucks. It was like it was made for TikTok.
What? I think we weren't watching the same movie.
And
or maybe we just don't have the same brain. That's fine.
Third guy says, a message for Christopher Nolan fans. This review is for the Christopher Nolan fans. I am one of you, but don't kid yourself. Look deep within. Bypass your desire to tell everyone you think this is the best one yet, because it's not. It sucks. Truly, if you are one of the many who enjoyed the film, I can deduce that you would also enjoy 3 hours of paint drying if directed by this man. You would watch the paint dry with epic music in 70mm, and you would praise him.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, you've just given us all an idea. Thanks. I'll see. It depends. Depends on the music and the lighting and the way that the paint drying looks on the wall. I can see it now, and I'm not opposed to it.
On the disc version of this movie, there are 3 hours of extras. We haven't seen them yet, but 3 hours of extras is right up my street, so I'll be watching that.
Yeah.
That's actually like watching the movie again. In conclusion, going to give Oppenheimer a score. Oppenheimer is a 9 out of 10.
Me too. I can't think of what would make it a 10, though.
No, it's really hard to get a 10, but it's pretty close.
Very close.
Yeah, it's right up my street, and maybe your street too. Is it up your street?
I don't have a street. I don't have a movie street.
No.
But it's up my alley. I've got an alley.
Up the alley. Do you throw dice in the alley?
Maybe. Craps. I'm crapping in the alley.
Nice. All right, next week we're going to look at the movie The Creator. It's a big sci-fi movie. You like sci-fi?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's what we're going to watch. Movie recommendations. I'm just going with a couple of Nolan movies that I love. Dunkirk and The Dark Knight. Both awesome. Watch them both. Enjoy.
Well, you're just brainwashed by the cult of Nolan, apparently. And mine are, okay, so we're nearing the end of the year, and I've already ran out of science fiction movies from the 21st century since the year 2000 that I have seen, and I might have missed a few, but I haven't taken the time to go back and cull my list again. So I'm going to start with Reminiscence 2021.
Is that the one with Wolverine in it?
Maybe, I don't remember.
That was actually Christopher Nolan's brother and his wife, the Westworld creators. There was like a chair in the middle of the room, and they sat on it. And it was like some weird, like you could look into like, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like a murder mystery.
Okay. And there's a woman in a red dress.
Yes.
Yes, that's Wolverine. And that was all right.
Yeah.
It was kind of like trying to be film noirish at times.
It was.
Okay. And yeah, just because I don't remember the movies doesn't mean I haven't seen them. It's just that I don't commit everything to memory. That's why I make a list. So I know that I've seen it. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City 2021.
Very bad.
Very bad. The Last of Us. I'm moving on to games now.
Oh,
so
nice.
be proud of this. I'm only going to do the next couple. The Last of Us.
Excellent.
Beyond Two Souls.
Excellent.
And Detroit Become Human. That was really good.
Yes, very good. That was like Humans, the TV show. Kind of that vibe.
Yeah. And so if you have an irritant about me using video games, well, what I do is he plays the game. I sit next to him and watch the game as if I'm watching a movie, because these games tell a whole really in-depth story. And yeah, there's the fighting and the clickety clack, and then you might die, and then you have to see a scene all over again or do. But that's part of that experience. And I can literally sit for 3 hours, or it could be longer. Some of these are, I mean, Last of Us was way longer. You do that in sessions, you know, like you're going to play 2 hours and then on a different day, play 2 hours again. And I think it's fascinating. So I can observe them like I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, you watched Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a good one.
Hey, Scully stuff this week. I've been playing a game called Backpack Hero. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's a cool roguelike adventure game. These are the games I think it's kind of like trying to emulate. Number one, Animal Crossing.
Okay.
So imagine you're in a town. It's kind of ramshackle. You've got to rebuild it. But the way you rebuild it, you need resources. So you're going to go and get the resources. And most of the resources are in this dungeon underneath the town. So what you're doing is you're going down there. It's got turn-based fighting like Final Fantasy. So you're going down, you're fighting enemies, and you're looting items. And you've got this backpack, hence Backpack Hero.
Hence?
You put the items that you're looting into the backpack. And as you level up, the backpack can get bigger, so you can carry more stuff. So it's about going down there, fighting the enemies, getting the loot, bringing it back to the town, and then actually upgrading the town. Like, what they're asking me to do at the moment is you keep bringing wood back, trees. So you don't have to do that if we build a sawmill, and then we build a sawmill, and then we build a school for the kids, and then we've got to move all the rubble and plant gardens, and basically you're making the town suitable to live in by going off doing these random dungeons that are cool. And a lot of the gameplay involves you organizing your backpack. So your backpack's got like little slots that you can put things in, and you can turn things around so they slot in. So it's also like, you know, when you pack in your luggage, it's got that kind of element to the organizing like things.
Bag Tetris, packing Tetris.
Yeah, it's a bit like Tetris. Like, fit all the things in. Oh, this knife, sword won't fit in the backpack. Oh, I'll just turn it sideways and stick it in the side there. Backpack resource management, making sure your town is managed and fighting in this dungeon. And the fighting's not fighting, it's turn-based. So you're literally you've got 3 turns, you click, and then maybe the enemies will die, maybe they won't. It's all random dice rolls. So if you like that kind of thing, it's called Backpack Hero. It's coming this week, I believe, on Steam. Sito, what's for dinner?
You have declared it will be Jersey Mike's.
Yes, Michael of Jersey.
You didn't declare it. I asked you and you said that, and I said, okay, then I don't have to think about it. That's what we're having.
And what's your advice? And let's get out of it.
My advice is not advice. As you can probably imagine if you've listened to more than one of these podcasts recently, it is just a thing. So I don't know how to explain how I thought of this today, but every single thing that happens in your life is a thing that happens in your life. Like, I don't believe in purpose or meaning or cause causality. Yes, you do this and then that happens. Do this, there's a consequence. Somebody else does a thing and you deal with the consequence. Nature reacts in a certain way, either around you or in your body, and then you deal with that, right? I get that. But as far as like things happening, sadly people passing or being gone or leaving your life or whatever, it's a thing that's happening. I'm not a big why type of person, right? I don't feel tormented by answering whys, question why, or anything. I mean, I just don't. It doesn't come naturally to me. But I feel like a lot of people want to either like hide a thing, deny a thing, pretend a thing isn't there, or that they didn't say or do a thing, or like, you know, block out whole things or change it around. But like the story of your whole life, right? From the time you're here until you're done, till you're dust again, from particle to particle, right? It's like the story. Every single chapter, every paragraph, every sentence, every word, every individual letter, every little thing, right? It just is what it is. Now, that doesn't excuse bad behavior. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't feel bad about things or loss or any of that. I think maybe a few people have commented recently, you know, about why and tormented by whys or scared of making a choice because of an outcome that they can't control, right? And I'm like, well, just do the thing and then you'll see what happens. Because then that's what happens. Not because that's, oh, everything happens for a reason, but just, well, then that will be the thing that happens, and then you will deal with it, right? Then you deal with the next thing, all that. So that is all.
Nicely said.
And what's that? I'm sure someone might listen to that again and be like, what is she saying? What is she saying? What? What are you saying to me? It's not code. It's just, that's how things come out of my mind. So there you go. A treasure for you to dig through and find a gem, maybe.
ascully.com, that's the website you can go to get this podcast. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We're on there. I'm A Scully, she's Sid Talk. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, and YouTube. You can find us everywhere podcasts are available, wherever that is. You can also email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk. And stay classy, Mr. Christopher Nolan. Awesome movie. And I'm sure your next one will be awesome too, because you are the best thing ever.
Yeah, but you're kind of fickle, because you will say that to Paul Thomas Anderson.
I will.
And you'll say
I
that.
only have a few, though. It's a small
You'll
club.
say that to Kevin Smith, even though you know you don't mean it 100%.
No, I
and
definitely
you'll
don't
say
mean
it to,
Quentin.
what's his face? Yeah, Quentin.
Yeah, my friend, Quentin.
I don't think you want to be friends with Quentin. I'm going to say, think for yourselves, or someone will do it before you. And before I finish, just so you all know this, the next time you hear this voice, I will be a retiree. I will be retired from my job. So think for yourself, people, or someone will do it for you. Because guess what? People try to stop you from retiring because of their own fears about things. I don't even know. It's a weird situation. So that's it.